Your dog is barely paying attention while you're talking. Then one familiar word lands, the eyes come back to you, and the head tips sideways. What changed in that 1 second? And why can one word get a reaction the rest of your sentence didn't? Because the rest of your sentence can be completely ordinary. You're talking, your dog is half watching you, half watching absolutely nothing, and then you say, walk. Now the ears move, the eyes are back, maybe the head tilts. Suddenly the conversation has attendance. Then you keep talking, the interesting word is gone, and your dog starts drifting back toward whatever they were doing before. That sequence tells you more than the tilt on its own. Everything around them is the same, but something you said suddenly got their attention. And usually, the best clue is whatever they heard right before the tilt. If you watch closely, the head tilt may not even be the first thing that happens. Your dog pauses. Their eyes come back to you. Their head or ears orient toward your voice. Then, sometimes the head leans off to one side. By the time the head tilts, your dog may already be paying a lot more attention. And that makes sense if the word has some history behind it. Walk may have been followed by a leash hundreds of times. A toy name may lead to that exact toy. A person's name may reliably predict that person showing up. Your dog does not have to understand your whole sentence for one piece of it to become worth noticing. Sounds and words can become connected to things that repeatedly happen around them, which is a slightly humbling arrangement, because you can apparently provide 30 seconds of original material and still lose to one word with a better track record. That gets us closer. But there is still a difference between a dog noticing a word and knowing exactly why the head moves. And this is not just something owners notice in the living room. Researchers once watched 40 dogs while their owners asked them to fetch toys by name. Most of the dogs had been exposed to those toy names during training, but only a small group had actually learned which name belonged to which toy. That small group tilted their heads much more often when they heard the requests. So simply hearing a familiar sound did not seem to be enough. The stronger pattern showed up in dogs for whom those words actually carried useful information. A larger study published in 2025 found another interesting version of the same thing. Researchers looked at 103 household dogs across several kinds of owner interaction. Head tilts were rare in the simpler conditions, and much more common in the condition where owners used familiar speech along with richer social cues. That does not let us say, familiar word equals head tilt. The way the owners spoke changed too, and that richer condition came later in the sequence. But it does fit the broader idea that tilting can show up while a dog is especially tuned in to communication that has some relevance for them, which is still a lot of scientific attention for something most of us investigate by immediately saying, "Do it again." This is also where humans tend to get a little ambitious. You say the word, the head tilts, and for about half a second, it feels like you have personally solved communication between species. But the tilt cannot tell you exactly what your dog understood. Maybe that sound predicts something. Maybe it points to an object they know. Maybe it belongs to a routine they recognize. Or maybe it simply made them pay closer attention for a moment. The head angle does not come with subtitles, and the toy name study gives us a useful reason to be careful here. The typical dogs had heard the labels too. The frequent tilting showed up mostly in the dogs that had actually learned which toy was which. So, "I've heard that sound before," and "that sound means something useful to me" are not necessarily the same thing. That difference is probably more useful than trying to assign one secret meaning to every tilt. So next time it happens, notice what came right before it. Did one particular word show up? Did your dog stop what they were doing? Did their eyes, ears, or whole body turn back toward you? And does a similar reaction happen again when that word appears in the same kind of situation? You do not need to turn your living room into a lab. You are just watching whether the tilt shows up as part of a bigger shift in attention. Some dogs may tilt, some may stare at you, some may hear walk and skip the thoughtful phase entirely because they are already standing at the door. Dogs vary, And the tilt alone is not an emotional dictionary. There is one important exception to the cute version of this story. A dog briefly tipping their head during an interaction is very different from a dog persistently holding their head tilted at rest. If a new head tilt comes with trouble balancing, circling, falling, or unusual eye movements, that deserves veterinary attention rather than another round of "say the word again." Go back to that first moment. Your dog was barely paying attention. Then one familiar word appeared. Their attention snapped back, and sometimes the head followed. For at least some dogs, head tilting seems to show up more often when they are paying close attention to communication that has become relevant or meaningful to them. What the tilt cannot tell us is exactly what they understood, and that may be why certain words seem to bring it out while the rest of your sentence gets absolutely nothing. So if your dog gives you the classic tilt when you say walk, enjoy it. The head angle is only the most visible part of the moment. A second earlier, their attention was somewhere else. Then one word brought it straight back. You may not have a fluent English speaker living in your house, but apparently you do have a very selective audience.